You see, those 19 states are the only ones who believe that they've already buttered up enough stupid, frickin' sycophantic, uneducated, red hat wearing, toothless, sister idiots that don't care about their own face and food and eyeballs and health care and their meemaw or their daughters. They've already cultivated in their mind enough people who are willing to give away their daughters to pedophiles for the sake to say I'm better than a black person. What's up, YouTube? Drill Sergeant here, and your president, pervert, POTUS operandi himself is in the Epstein files. He's about 2 seconds away from actually pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell, who is a convicted sex offender, who is a trafficker of young children for the purposes of sex with old men. And if you've been watching MSNBC or any of these other snowflake, ridiculous, wannabe news stations, getting paid by rich people to talk about things that don't matter, they've been playing over and over again her tapes. I haven't listened to them because you know why? Because she's a convicted sex offender. So I can tell you whatever she's going to say is in conjunction with the pardon coming. So we're not going to forget that. And this story will not take away or distract us from that fact. Now, the real story, number 2, President Kenkel's McTaco Tits is mobilizing up to 1,700 National Guardsmen in 19 states to widen crime and immigration crackdown. It's okay to be worried. It's okay to be apprehensive. I'm going to answer some questions for you that I think everybody has on their mind, even if you can't articulate them. Number 1, how bad is this really? Should I be this worried? How bad is it now? Number 2, why is this happening? What's the purpose of this? And number 3, how is this going to end? How's it going to end? Because the future that you may see in front of you is bleak, and all you can see is a movie screen of destruction, the worst thing you've been able to imagine. Is that a possibility? Everything's a possibility. But I'm going to answer those 3 questions, and I'm going to just let you know, breathe in and then out. Remember that we knew this was coming. Remember that Drill Sergeant has been telling you this is coming. Remember that there are people working in the shadows. At least have a conscious acknowledgement that we knew it was coming, so nothing has changed from 3 days ago, from a month ago. We knew this was coming. Now, number 1, how bad is this really? Well, let's stick to the numbers. 1,700 people in 19 states means less than 100 people per state. 100 guardsmen per state, okay? That may be hard to believe when you hear the number 1,700. And yeah, it's only 100, but they're guardsmen. It's not good. Sure, it's not good. The fact that this is being done is not good. I'm not here to tell you that it's good. What I'm here to tell you is that this is a show. That's it. Nothing else. You want to know how we know this is a show? Is because in Washington, D.C., he's got 2,000 in one city. One city. It's not even a state yet. Doesn't have its own statehood. In order to get that, he had 800 guardsmen from D.C. and got 6 other states, red hat states, who will be punished, who will see the reckoning when democracy is back in play. He's got 6 other states to send their guardsmen to Washington, D.C.
Governors in 6 states, West Virginia, Mississippi, Ohio, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Louisiana, they have all agreed to deploy state National Guard troops to join the 800 D.C. troops that have already been activated by President Trump. And the video shows Guard troops now helping law enforcement at 10 different metro stations in D.C. President Trump claims crime was out of control in the nation's capital, though local officials are calling the troop buildup politically motivated. They are pointing to statistics that show violent crime in D.C. is at a 30-year low.
YouTube, while you're wondering how bad it is, just remember those states that you just heard, and then remember the 19 states where he's sending 1,700 troops. And they're all state troops, by the way. They're deploying their own troops. Take a listen. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, Wyoming. So they sent their own people to make 2,000 troops to the small district of Washington, D.C. He's got 2,000 plus their police there. 1,700 amongst 19 states. What does that tell you? Yeah, this is a show. This is just to let people start getting used to having troops on the streets, used to these cockamamie, ridiculous announcements every other day, trying to cover up for the fact that he's a pedophile and a freak, for the fact that he's getting Ghislaine Maxwell out of prison while her tapes are playing on rotation on MSNBC because they still stupid enough to fall for the okie doke and normalize this crap. So when you're asking the question, how bad is this? It's bad because it sends the wrong message. How bad is it right now? It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Not to mention, it's only happening in the states that want to rah-rah this, to the states that want to show their people, look what we did, look how degraded we can be, because that's what the party has become. Who can be the worst American? And everybody with a red hat on just eats it up like red meat. It's not that bad right now. Before we move on to point number 2, the question number 2 is why they're doing this. The other reason why it's not that bad right now is because if you remember, in order to get those 2,000 troops, those 6 states that had to send more troops to get 2,000 in Washington, D.C., that means that those troops that they sent there, they don't have in the states. They depleted their own states to send them elsewhere. It's a show. It's 100 people in 19 states that were already fucked up beyond recognition. Those states are all horrible. They're red states and they're already disgusting. There's nothing there. There's no education there. There's no business there. All of those states are doomed to be flooded and hurricaned to non-existence. They're already flooded with zombies with red hats on who refuse education at all costs. They're already flooded with disgusting pedophiles all over their government that they vote for and love. There's nothing left. They're all going to be flooded, hurricaned, tornadoed out while FEMA's gone. They have nothing. The only thing they have left is these 100 extra troops, not to mention all the ice that's been going in. That's what these 100 troops are for. And what they're gearing up for is the bad part. Here's the why. Number 1, why would they send their own troops to make 2,000 of them in D.C., but then accept maybe 100 in their own? Well, that's because D.C. is the fortress. That's because D.C. is where people go to march, is where the orange cankled one himself decrees all of these royal statements, and where, when the riots happen, he needs to make sure that he's safe. That's a fortress, is what it is. So that's why there's 2,000 there. It's not to keep the city safe, the District of Columbia safe. It's to keep him safe, Cankles safe, the Tangerine Tyrant Tornado safe, the orange orangutan. He needs a place to throw his crap on the walls without being disturbed by the plebeians, because he knows what's coming. That's why everywhere else has just been questioning too much. Well, wait a minute. If crime is down lower than it's been in 30 years, then how come we don't get any? So he says, here, you stupid idiot, here's yours. Number 2, it makes people feel good. It makes all the people in those exact same states feel good. They're horrible, disgusting Republicans. They're MAGA. They're disgusting, filthy, inhumane MAGA. They like it. They're filthy. They're anti-American. They're anti-democratic. They want the troops in the streets, but they need help. ICE, that is. The places where they're going, those few places are rising up. They're not getting away with it. People are fighting back. They need help. The Virginia National Guard plans to mobilize approximately 60 soldiers. I told you, less than 100 people. 60 soldiers and airmen with a mission to provide administrative and logistic support to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement at locations across the state. A spokesperson told The Independent, that's where I'm reading this from, personnel will not conduct law enforcement functions. But just so you get an idea of why they're doing this, the guardsmen assisting ICE will be carrying out tasks that may include personal data collection, fingerprinting, DNA swabbing, and photographing of personnel in ICE custody. They're secretaries and documentarians. That's why the National Guard is there. That's gross, number one. DNA swabbing, personal data collection. But we know that that's going on. Don't let that scare you. Just understand that they needed to mobilize more people just to get it done because they don't have the numbers. Police-wise, special forces-wise, ICE-wise, they're offering $50,000. A $50,000 bonus to ICE people to join ICE. But all of the toothless vagabonds that live in the mountains that swear that they're good enough to join probably can't even make the cut. So they're having to deploy this in those deplorable states. So that's 2 questions answered. And I hope that you get it. I hope you get it. The whys, there's a lot of them. There's this propaganda. There's this disgusting red meat need that the people have in these horrible, disgusting, filthy states that just drain on our society, that are welfare queens to the federal government, that cannot pay their own bills and just suck all of the money and resources from the real states with decent people living in them. And the few decent people left in those states are fighting back and making it hard for the ICE agents who are being filled up by even more indecent and uneducated people. It's a cycle of indecency and toothlessness. But that leads us to, will this work? What's the end game? How does this end? And that, my friends, is the best news. You see, there's a reason why there are only 19 states, because the rest of the states that he talks about every day, the Chicago and the New York and the blah, 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 everywhere where there's black and brown people as a majority, or as in mayors, people who run the city, the reason why those places won't do this is because they're not fucking stupid. They don't have the numbers. You see, those 19 states are the only ones who believe that they've already buttered up enough stupid, frickin' sycophantic, uneducated, red hat wearing, toothless, sister f***ing idiots that don't care about their own face and food and eyeballs and health care and their meemaw or their daughters. They've already cultivated in their mind enough people who are willing to give away their daughters to pedophiles for the sake to say I'm better than a black person, that they will accept it. But I'm here to tell you, YouTube, that's not the case. They will accept it now. But when you get a bunch of uneducated rubes, backwards idiots that are armed to the teeth in every single household, and they don't have health care, and they don't have cars or gas, and tomatoes cost more, and they lost their job, and their wife got fired, and the husband was laid off, and there's no one to work the field. That same disgusting, drooling horde of night walkers and night crawlers will rise up and beat down the exact same National Guard that's sitting on the streets. You see, Kenko's McTaco-Tits himself is such a freaking idiot, and the sycophants that follow him in power are so stupid and short-sighted and lack a history education that they forgot exactly how it was that someone like a Hitler in Nazi Germany was able to put tanks on the streets, soldiers on the streets, and have people praise it. You see, in order to get the people to stay calm while they saw soldiers on the streets, in Nazi Germany, the Nazis implemented a major program of public works, such as building and repairing roads, railways, and houses, significantly helping reduce unemployment. Large-scale military rearmaments. Building up the armed forces took in a whole lot of people. It, of course, was ridiculous because you can't survive off a military economy unless you're at war. And that was the point. But unfortunately, we had Doge, you idiot orange fool. You took everything away before you put the troops on the ground. By time that 60 in Virginia turns to 120, and by time your silly little less than 100 people in Mississippi turns to 200, and because you think they're so malleable, it's because they're fed. When the store closes, when the wife gets laid off, when the hospital no longer exists, and the farm food rots on the ground, even they will be mad at the tanks on their streets. When you're asking the question, how does this end? That's how it ends. They're too stupid to do it right. Yeah, he wants all the power. Yeah, we're gonna fight. And also, you need to know what's coming next. You see, those people who aren't so hungry now that they're losing their minds, when they try to put it in a democratic city, a democratic state, those people will say, yeah, do it. Yeah, do it. It just won't last long because they will be hungry. They will be back to violence and the worst natures of humanity. When you ask how it'll end, my hope for you is that even though we'll be fighting in our democratic cities, when they try to do it, when they do the unconstitutional thing and put the real military there, not the National Guard, because the governors won't hopefully bow down to that. My hope for you is that all of those disgusting, filthy with red hats on can be used as pawns to be the front line. Does that bother you? It shouldn't, because if you were asking those three questions to begin with, it's because innately you see the danger in where we are and the authoritarian state they've allowed. But this fool did not do the preparation. There is no Volkswagen Bug. The VW Bug was the people's car and it satiated them. There is no public housing for the workers that never really went to fruition. They're just a bunch of empty buildings that are still there in Germany now that could satiate them. These people put in Doge instead and ripped the floor from under them before asking them to accept the troops. It's not gonna go well. I would use that. Don't be a fool. Use them first. That's how this works. Psychological warfare is the first warfare, and if you haven't prepared for that, now's the time. How this ends is with the pawns, the uneducated, suckers and leeches of our government, finances, artwork, society, who put this here to be used as such, and hopefully they can redeem themselves as heroes or martyrs. We need to figure out how to make that happen. You don't like that? Wrong channel. Tomorrow, we fight. That's what it means. Yeah, we got mutual aid. Yeah, you should be, like I said many times before, working out with your neighbors. How to get the general strike running. Who's going to do the child care? Who's going to do the policing? The neighborhood watch? Who's taking care of the funds? And the piggy bank to help everybody so that they can last for a couple months. Who's taking care of the transportation? All of those should be happening now. But the troops are on the streets. They're trying to slow roll it because they were fucking idiots in getting it started, because they let Doge rip the legs out from under the base that would be backing them. They'll soon be monsters and night crawlers, hungry soon. Hungry with weapons out the ass. It won't matter. They'll be shooting at black people. They'll be going into every place they can. we can turn them on the real problems. He's going to try it. He's just too stupid to know how it would end. You want to know how this ends? It ends with psychological warfare, and it starts with you. Join me if you'd like to learn how. Watch our Twitch channel so that when this gets taken off of YouTube, we have somewhere else to go, because I got more information for you that you're going to need. You may not like, but you're going to need it. We don't need to lift a finger. Not yet. The idiots have made an entire sea of toothless pawns for you. Again, if you don't like that, I'm sorry. We also have mutual aid to do. Do that. But if you about that life and you're talking about what you're going to do and who's going to fight back, when I say tomorrow we fight, I meant it. Because tomorrow we fight.
Hey, yeah, you. Before you click away to watch someone unbox a tactical toothbrush, let's talk about something real. Political Drain isn't just another content mill. We're a digital front in a very real war. Not with bullets, but with ideas, with action, and with solidarity. We pair urgent news with critical education. And we build community around actual resistance, not the hashtag kind. The kind that moves. But here's the thing. None of this is free. It isn't. Behind every video is time, labor, research, and some weird guy asking if we're going to pay the hosting bill. And yeah, some of that money goes to things we can't necessarily say out loud. If you know, you know. Let's just say our special ops aren't Call of Duty LARPers. They're people making real moves to protect, uplift, and organize. You're not just funding a channel. You're funding a resistance network in a world where capital still calls the shots. Unfortunately, in a system built on artificial scarcity, even mutual aid has a price tag. And if we want to grow, if we want to win, we need your help. We need your help. So if you've got even a few bucks to spare, toss it our way. It's not for ads. It's not for merch drops, but for people making moves in the shadows so others can do it in the light. It's just us and you. So fund the mission, fund the fight, fund the future, because nobody's coming to save us. We save each other. That's how this works. Ground News has very quickly become one of my most prized resources, my go-to even, because I get to find out what stories are not covered by the blind spot feature, which I love, but not just the blind spot feature. Any of the stories that I bring up, I can see what either side is saying about it. I can also see who's paying for those headlines. It tells me who owns the publication, which also lets me know who they're writing it for. Many times, none of that is for us, but understanding the context helps us understand the story. Ground News is absolutely one of, if not the best way to know that you've gotten every side of a story and that there's not enough spin in the world that could have you misinterpret it. Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.